Welcome to Google Basics. In this course, we're going to be going through the basic search principles for Google and how to refine the results even more to make everything more relevant to the person that you're looking for or the object or service that you're looking for. Now, Google is the largest search database in the world. The second largest is YouTube, and these are very good search databases to be using. Not in every case, but 9 times out of 10 when I'm searching, Google is a search database that I use. There are some types of searches that I have found Google is not the best for. In fact, I've found that Google is the worst place to be doing certain types of searches. In this video, we're going to be focusing just on Google in itself. So we're going to be focusing on its strengths. Now, a bit of a disclaimer for you. I'm going to be using the name John Smith in this video. I have no interest in locating a John Smith. I do not know a John Smith. I'm not trying to promote a John Smith's products. So if your name is John Smith and something about you actually comes up on the screen, well, no one's really going to know it's you other than you. If you are called John Smith and you own a business and your business appears in this video, you're welcome for the free advertising. Okay, so a couple of things before we start. You should be able to tell which country I'm in. Not by my accent, although that may give it away, but by what Google's telling you on the screen here. There's 2 areas Google's telling you the country that I'm in. Up the top here, google.com.au, and the bottom left-hand corner, it says Australia. This is really important, and this is the bare basics of doing searches with any search engine. I'm in Australia, I just typed in google.com. Google decided to redirect me to google.com.au and put a bias on Australia, because it knows that I'm in Australia. This will have a massive impact on the results that you get. If you're searching for a person in the UK, but you're physically in Australia, when you're doing searches, you're going to get a bias with Australia. This is where a VPN will come in. If you're searching for a person you believe to be in another country, use a VPN and set your location to the country you believe the person to be in. That way you'll get a bias on the country you believe the person to be in, as opposed to getting a bias for the country you're in. So with this tutorial, we're just going to allow it to be setting the bias for Australia. Like I said, we have no end target in this video. There's no end goal other than you have a better understanding how to use Google. We're not trying to locate a John Smith. So getting started, we'll do what most people do. We'll type in the name, John Smith. And we've got 2.13 billion results. And the number of results will vary on a regular basis. If you wait 20 minutes and then do this search again, you'll get a different number of results. Google is very active in indexing. There's a lot of results being updated and changed all the time, consistently. It's always happening. So at the moment we've got 2.1 billion results apparently for the name John Smith. But that's not what's actually happening here. What we have is 2.1 billion results for 2 words, John and Smith. So Google could be bringing back a page that has John Johnson met Mary Smith. Or Mary Smith could be at the bottom part of the page. But Google found that the word John and the word Smith was on the same page, so it's showing me the results. Fair enough, the top part of these results is going to be John Smith, that exact phrase, because it's a very common phrase, it's a very common name. So to refine these results, and just see the actual name John Smith, we can put it in quotes or inverted commas. So now we've got 33.7 million results. Massive reduction from the 2.1 billion that we had before. This is still too many to go through. No one is going to go through 33 million results efficiently within a reasonable time frame. So we need to refine this down even more. And this is a common mistake people make. When they're searching, they start searching for a name. But you're not trying to find the name John Smith. You're trying to find the unique individual John Smith. So there's got to be more about the person that you know that we can tell Google to refine more and more and more. So if I say, well, John does something very common for work. Everyone's got a front lawn. So we'll say lawn. Now Google has refined the results even further to 2.1 million results. And on the right hand side, because we've got a bias for Australia, we can actually see John Smith Turf. He's not open today. There's his address and contact details. So if you own John Smith Turf, you're welcome for the advertising. So we can filter this down further and further and further. We started off at 2.1 billion results. We're now down to 2.1 million results. So we can refine this down even further by saying I believe the person's in the state of New South Wales. So we come up the top here, NSW, and now we've got 163,000 results. The more keywords you add, the more refined the results are going to be. So up the top here, we've got John Smith in quotes. Then we have two separate words, lawn and New South Wales. And the reason they're not in quotes is because they don't have to be an exact phrase. In fact, I don't want them to be an exact phrase. I would just like to see the word lawn and the word New South Wales somewhere on the page. So keywords do not need to be in quotes. Keywords should never be in quotes, just the exact phrase that you're after. Might be after a little bit more personal information for a John Smith. So we're trying to find John Smith and I want to know a little bit more about him. So I can do things, say I want to find a resume or a CV that's in the file type PDF. Okay, so now we've got resumes or CVs for a John Smith. Australia-wide, I can refine this even further by saying site has to be AU, so it has to be ending in an AU domain name, but I'm not going to drill down to a unique John Smith. I'm not about to show a unique John Smith resume on an open video. Okay, so the first result we have here is demo data. So this isn't a real John Smith. This was actually just found 2 minutes before we did this video, so it is real content on the internet, but there's nothing real about this. There's no real personal information. Unless his phone number is really 123456778, and his email address is using the domain name at hisprovider.d. Okay, so we've found this person's resume. All the information's there, fantastic. Yes, this is not a real resume. I'm not really going to show you the person's real resume. If you want to, do the same search and click on one of these. There's a lot of things you can do with Google. You're not refined to just having to type in a keyword and an exact phrase with Google. There's a lot of things you can do to refine Google. And we tackle this the further we go into the OSINT course, because it's not just a matter of a Google search to find normal content. Google is something that I use for, well, you're here to do Google searches, which is OSINT, so open source intelligence, but FinInt, IMINT, GeoInt, Google is really good at. So all the other intelligence gathering techniques that are out there, Google is the best tool that I've found to do most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Okay, so some of the other search types that we can do in Google. We'll stick with John Smith, but we'll start exploring a little bit more. Let's say in URL, and we'd like to see resume in URL. So now we've got John Smith, URL, has the word resume. So we can see resume here, resume. So resume is in the URL. So we've got the domain name for the first part, the URL is the rest of it. Now I can say again, I want the site to be a .au domain name, so it has to be .com.au, .net.au, .gov.au, anything with AU. And we can now see John Smith in URL, resume, site.au. Now this could be contacts instead of resume. So we just say in URL contact, because we want to see John Smith in there. And this is really good if you're looking for the phone number for a large provider, especially the utility providers. So if I say +61, being in Australia, site.com.au, I believe it will be. We can start going through here till we see, well, hang on a minute, there's a phone number. So just for everyday use, knowing how to refine the results for a website can be very handy. In this case, trying to find the phone number for Telstra is not that straightforward, unless they've changed their website again, where it's actually on the front page. Most utility companies, or a lot that I've found, do not want you to be calling them. They hide their phone number beneath all these different layers. So they'll say, contact us, you click on contact us, and it says, hey, what would you like help with? You click on that, okay, would you like to look at our support forum? No, that's why I clicked contact. This is a shorter way around it. So site can be the actual full domain name, or just .com, .au, .edu, .gov, whatever you'd like to be searching. Now, if we start looking at Facebook, for example, can type in John Smith for Facebook in New South Wales, and we can start refining Facebook through Google as well, which is a very handy way to be searching Facebook, and we'll go over that when we go through social media in the later on in the course. So Google is not just a search database to be typing in John Smith and leave it as that. You'll see again, maybe the results have changed. John Smith, well, this error's come up, or it's not really an error, it's a challenge. Because of the types of searching that I'm doing, Google's not sure whether I'm a robot. I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not, but Google's challenging me now. So I have to show me all the storefronts. This could take a while. Nope, there we go. Don't be afraid if you get that. The more unique searches you're doing in Google, or let's say the more refining you're doing on a search, the more Google may challenge you. You're not going to get that screen after every single search you do, but that's a good indicator to say you're doing something right. You're refining the searches a lot more efficiently than just typing in the word John Smith, or the two words John Smith. So Google is a very good search engine. It's definitely the best one out there that I've found for most of the searches that you're doing. Like I said, not all searches. There are a couple of searches that I do not recommend Google for at all. But for the majority of what you're doing, Google is the best search database to be using. YouTube is the second largest search database, and there's a lot of really good information on YouTube, and there's a lot of really cool ways to start refining your searches or filtering through YouTube more efficiently, again, using Google. If you're doing the full open source intelligence and skip tracing course, move on to the next one and we'll go into more details about Google and where it is good and bad. For those of you that are just doing this free Google introductory course, I hope this helped you. Hope you got a lot out of it. Please let me know if you've got any recommendations or advice. And if you'd like to move on to the next course, follow the prompts and all the information will be there.